Hey, everybody. I have an amazing guest today. Someone I've known, and Cindy, I did count the years, someone I've known for over 15 years. We worked together for many, many years in corporate America, always with a ton of, I would say, mutual support, mutual respect, mutual admiration. Sometimes the occasional mutual bitch session, not going to lie, we did a little bit of that. But we have remained connected, and I'm happy to introduce Cindy Fritz. It's always hard for me to say that. You're my Cindy DeMassey. It's like, wait, what?
I know, and it's been a while, but that's okay.
Yeah, it is. It is. So I'm happy to introduce Cindy to our community for a couple of different reasons. And we're going to go through a bit of her journey through transition, through some ups and downs, and where she's come out on the other side for her personally and professionally. And I think everyone's going to really enjoy it. So welcome, Cindy.
Thanks, Jody. Thanks for having me. As I said earlier, thanks for giving me a reason to get out of yoga clothes today.
There's never a good reason to get out of yoga clothes. I believe that. So listen, let's give our viewers just a little bit of taste of like who you are, where you grew up, what your career was about, and we'll move on after a couple of minutes of getting to know you.
So again, thank you for having me. I'm honored to actually be here. I love the work that you and Mark are doing. I actually grew up in Lower Westchester. I lived in Pelham most of my life, graduated Pelham High School. I won't give you the year. And have lived in New York most of my life, my entire life. I joined, can I say?
Sure.
I joined Chubb in 2001 after a 15-year career as a licensed real estate appraiser. And it was actually my dream job at the time, to be honest with you. It was exciting to have a steady paycheck, have benefits, 401k, and all that good stuff, because as an independent contractor, while you have the freedom and can create your own schedule, those things were important to me as I was beginning to start a family. And so that's a little bit of my background.
So you locked into corporate America after being an entrepreneur of sorts. You went into the corporate world for how many years?
Just under 20. And if you told me I would be at any one company for 20 years, I would have said you're out of your mind. But honestly, the years went relatively quickly, as you know, especially when you're managing a career and a family and all the other things. Before you know it, 20 years have passed.
And we got to know each other when I came to New York in 2006. And I will tell you, I would say we had a really good run for a lot of years at Chubb.
I would definitely agree. And you were definitely a breath of fresh air, for sure. So yes. Good run.
So Cindy and I had an opportunity to work together in Westchester and manage many projects together and have seats at different leadership tables together. And all of that went really well for a long time. Why did you decide to leave that?
Oh, gosh. This is where it gets a little dicey. I thought I would always remember the year that our world shifted. I believe it was 2015. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
You are correct. January 1st of July 1st.
I do remember the July 1st part. And I was actually getting ready to leave on a family vacation and got a text message from you and several other people on my team, and was a little bit blown away by the news that we had been acquired by one of our largest competitors. being a leader at the time, I was managing a team of, I believe, up to 12 people at that time. I was handling the whole New York, Westchester, Long Island region, including Vermont, which you and I had many discussions about. Like, where did that fit in? But after the holy, can I curse?
Sure.
Shit moment, my leadership skills kind of went into full force, and I, quickly kind of had to check in with my team to make sure that they were okay. What did all that mean? So there was a lot of turmoil in that time. I think we managed it pretty well, honestly, for a bit, and then it became a toxic environment is really the only way I can describe it.
It really impacted you and your health at different points in time.
It did, particularly towards the end. I mean, I actually prided myself, to be honest with you, in being able to shift gears and, being able to rise to the occasion, rise to the challenges. And I did for a long time. And then it just became an environment where, again, I had a lot of autonomy. I had a boss, and my other boss who really believed in me and gave me full autonomy. And then all of a sudden it felt like that was taken away. And not only was I being micromanaged, but so was my team. And it definitely had an effect on my health. I actually started to seek new opportunities within the company. I was considering leaving altogether at that point because I was a stress ball, working 60 plus hours a week. And even more so, the beauty of having your BlackBerry at the time, I believe it was a BlackBerry, available to you. And of course, we had 2 phones back then, and taking it on vacation and doing all the things, it never went away.
Right.
And I was very successful in finding another opportunity with a leader who I did respect and had worked with in the past, and I was very excited about that opportunity. However, they didn't make it easy for me. They, did things that just seemed super unfair, stripped my title, even though it was a bigger job. But I was a doobie, and I really wanted to continue to play along and honestly see the direction, or at least help navigate the direction that we were going. So,
sure, right? I mean, you're a natural born leader, right? Your leadership and protection, you're also a mom. So your mama bear skills kicked in about the same time, which happens for a lot of women, especially women in leadership roles. What's also, though, happening on the inside is that turmoil that you talked about, and the stress and the cortisone and the blood pressure and the indigestion and all of those things that come with hyper stressful times.
Yep.
And you recognized all that. And I remember when you recognized all that. And I remember you said, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
What was the hardest part about getting to those 2 little words, I'm out?
Well, ironically, my body made that decision for me. I didn't listen. I wasn't paying attention. I was so hell-bent on proving that I could do this, that I had what it took, that I could continue to work the 60-hour work weeks, that I could manage a brand new team, that I could save the direction that we were going. And my body knocked me off my feet. I wound up in the hospital. And that is honestly when I said, no more. I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. And so luckily I was able to take some time off and really evaluate, my next steps, if you will, and got myself healthy. I learned how the stress of the job and all of the things that had happened over the course of those last few years there had really wreaked havoc on my body. And that, however, I had the ability to really heal it on my own. I'm not a big believer in just taking a pill because, that's what you do. I believe that you can change the direction of your health. Granted, some of us need medication, right? I'm not negating that, but I went through the process of really healing my body, disconnected, and really went deep inside. It was a dark time. It was a very dark time. I was scared. But towards the end, when I really started to heal, I knew that I was done. I did end up going back to work after several months, and I thank my doctor for taking it seriously that I needed the time. My mental health was not in a good place, and there are not a lot of doctors that really pay attention to that. But I went back to work, and I went back to utter chaos. And my first day back, I was in a meeting, and it was a very high profile meeting. And I had actually, my last job was much closer to leadership than my previous job. And I was in a meeting, and I was being asked questions by a very senior level executive, and she was peppering me. And I didn't have the answers to it because I legitimately had just come back to work. And I basically was like, well, I'm not sure about the answer to that. I'm just coming back from disability. I will look into that and get back to you. And I was stunned by the fact that she didn't even say, yeah, I heard that. I hope you're okay. And at that point, I knew that I no longer worked for a company that cared about its people. Or at least to me, it didn't feel that way. And I was not going to continue down this path. Right. I didn't want to push to an imaginary finish line and not have my health when I got there,
Right. So you made the decision. Tell me about the conversation with your friends and family, your husband, relatively new husband at that time, if I remember correctly. Your daughter, who you've modeled such amazing communication and leadership and loving skills to. And the reason I ask this question is a lot of our viewers say, I've decided I'm having a difficult time with the hurdle of transition of telling everyone I've decided. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about how you did that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was definitely a little bit of a struggle. I think for the people that were closest to me, honestly, I think they got it. They really were trying. They were loving and supportive and very encouraging, which really kind of gave me the fuel, to be honest with you, to do what I did. I got, there was a part of me to a certain extent that I felt like I was giving up, that I felt that I was letting people down, my team. I mean, that was the hardest part, was feeling like I was just leaving them, but for the most part, I think they really understood it because, we'd all been kind of talking to your point earlier about, kind of some of the bitch sessions. And I was very lucky that I had a lot of support. I think the struggle I had the most was what will others think? And at the end of the day, Jody, what those others thought really didn't matter anymore to me. I didn't want to worry anymore about, there's a saying, and I'm gonna botch it, but it's Brene Brown, like, if you're not in the ring with me, like, I do not even care about your opinion. Like, that's kind of how I felt.
Right.
Like, F your opinion.
Right.
I'm doing this for me.
So in a short amount of time, and we didn't do it all serious justice, but that wraps up, your acceleration, your climb, your leadership, your passions at that time around your work and your clients and your team, and your company. By the way, I know that fully and wholeheartedly from the time I worked with you for the 15 years. So we wrap all that up, and then bam, you land here. And tell me a little bit about how you are today and how you got there.
Wow. So honestly, there was a part of me that actually kind of always wanted to retire at age 55. So there, some people will know, they can do the math.
Yep.
So this is going to sound terrible, maybe, and it might make sense to a lot of people, but my mom is 70, she's going to be 78 years old. She's in the insurance business. She's retired 3 times, and she's still working. And I didn't want to come to be 70 something years old and not know what to do with myself once I retired. I always knew that there was something else I wanted to do. I was always honestly called to serve others. I did a lot of volunteer work. So I felt that there was something around the corner. The one thing, how did I get here, is I actually took steps along the way, to be honest with you. I went back, not back, but I went for my yoga certification at the ripe old age of 50, proving that you can do anything you want when you want it bad enough. And I was not the oldest student in that class. And I actually was able, thanks to you, to write a program called Wellness in the Workplace and introduce yoga to corporate America. So in the background, that had always been the long-term goal. Andrew and I honestly manifested, or had been manifesting, the concept of Cindy Sanctuary. And Cindy Sanctuary is a combination of both of our names, Cindy and Andrew. So original, but it totally works. We have been manifesting it for about 10 years. We had a vision board in our old house. We had notes whenever we could. He was working 60+ hours a week also, burning, on that hamster wheel of corporate America. So we had always had, visions about it. We would always come back to what's it going to look like. And so we had a plan, but sometimes plans get a little bit accelerated, and sometimes there are monkey wrenches thrown in those gears too, right?
Right. And it's interesting because you used a couple of phrases I'm going to use back to you. You had a calling to do something. You always challenged yourself to serve others. And I know we did some of that together with Girls Incorporated and some of our other mutual passions. When Cindy and I, just for our viewers, when Cindy and I brought yoga into a Fortune 200 company at lunch with our own disclaimer that we came up with, not really sure corporate HR was fully on board at the time. However, fast forward 10 years later and it's a thing. So I kind of feel like we were on the cutting edge of that one.
Heck yeah, we were.
And we always had the ability to have fun with those types of challenges when your passions were attacked.
Absolutely.
And I think that's one of the things Mark and I try to do when we bring people on like yourself, or we talk to, our YouTube community is, there's something inside of everyone. I fully believe that there is something inside of everyone that everyone else needs.
I believe that too.
And sure. I feel like you and Andrew and the Cindy Sanctuary, along with the plethora of other things that you do in your day, which we'll get to next, really taps into that. I want to serve others. I want to help others. I want to stay on the forefront of my health and wellness. Priority, priority, priority. And I think that's a really good, not only example for others, but a good mantra for others as they move into a transitional phase like this phase.
Agreed. Totally.
So we know how you found your passion. We know you have the Sindru Sanctuary. Tell us what a day in the life looks like with all of the different new activities that you're doing in a day.
It varies, honestly. It will depend on what clients we have coming to the studio. I am actively teaching yoga. I do mostly privates, to be honest with you. I am still doing work for corporate clients, although unfortunately, once people started going back into the offices, a lot of corporations were like, so I should back up. During COVID, I was able to pivot our business a little bit because, as you know, things, and we had just launched pretty much 5 months before COVID hit. And we were able to pivot and pick up a couple of corporate clients that actually gave me purpose and gave me a reason, weekly to do yoga and introduce yoga to corporate clients. So some of that is still definitely in the background, and mostly when they want to do wellness in the workplace, where it's an event like, Breast Cancer Awareness Month or things like that.
It's a marketing event.
Yeah, exactly. And I always have fun doing those too, because I do get to see some of the people that I had gotten to know in my prior career. So that is always fun to kind of come back to in a very different way, of course. It will honestly depend on what's going on in the studio. To be honest with you, I mean, this is our space. We have behind those doors is where Andrew does Reiki. We share this space. So, we have a shared calendar, and every time, one of my clients is like, "Ooh, can I come today?" I'm not just checking my calendar, I'm checking our calendar so that there's no overlap. Some days I have 3 clients in a row, and it can vary from, health coaching session to private yoga sessions. It varies. It's very fluid. And honestly, I like that part. I'm doing some virtual classes. I have some clients that actually I've been picked up. It's not the right word, but that I've acquired from other states who just really want to do yoga. They've tried to do yoga on YouTube, and there are great yoga teachers on YouTube. Don't get me wrong. I actually participate in some of those classes myself. But some people really want a specific class for themselves. So I work with them, especially if they have physical limitations or things like that. So I will meet with them, find out what some of their limitations are, and build a class for them, and then record that class, and then they own it. They can take it numerous times. So honestly, that business has started taking off a little bit. So it honestly varies, and we're still carving out time for us, right? Doing the take care of ourselves first, rather than fill that in where it fits at the end of a 60-hour work week. So I start every morning with a meditation practice. I pull a daily affirmation card that I actually have been kind of posting on social media that has gotten a lot of traction. Things like that, just carving out time to have fun, to get outside, to be with people again as well, you know?
Yeah. You know, I think the last thing that you want to do as you transition, as anyone transitions into this third phase of life, which by the way can last, 30 years or more, is to slide back into the old habits, right? Where while you're using and all of what you described, building a program, teaching, developing people, helping them, serving them, those are all things you did in your career, from 9 to 9 every day. And it's great that you're able to pull those skills forward while keeping them in check with this transition phase in your life where you do want to focus on yourself and your health and your relationships and your mental wellness, right? With your meditation and your affirmation cards, which I know get a good traction on Instagram, because I'm one of those followers for sure. And often snapshot that and send it off to my girls in
That's
the morning.
awesome.
Like, look what Cindy put out today. This should be your mantra. And that idea of being the person who is inspiring others to just not give up on themselves. If someone were to say to me, tell me about Cindy, I think that would be the phrase I would use to describe you. She's always been the person, whether it was customers, agents or brokers, or team members or peers, or, even up the ladder, superior managers, you were always the person who wanted to model the behavior that showed everyone else not to give up on themselves. And the fact that you're able to live that as your lifestyle has to be just truly rewarding, for you and Andrew, actually.
It's empowering, actually. I think it is. Thank you for saying it. I sometimes I'm also humble, so I don't like the, oh, let me pat myself on the back kind of thing. It's just kind of what I do. I honestly feel that I was put on this earth to do that kind of work. And I don't think I would have realized that being stuck in the quagmire of corporate life for the long run. There was always this voice saying that there was something else out there. And I've always been naturally curious.
Which is an amazing quality, and one that we really challenge our clients with, that embracing curiosity and embrace being wrong even, because, I know, and in our past lives, you pretty much weren't allowed to be wrong. Now it's like that freedom, like, oh, I guess I was wrong about that. That's
right.
okay.
That's how we learn, though, right? And making it okay. I agree wholeheartedly. And I also feel like I was getting to the point where, we have 3 daughters. We're a blended family, as you are, as you know, and I didn't want my legacy to be, oh my gosh, this is what my world is going to be. It's corporate America. It's sludging through, if that's even a word, to, being unhappy in my career to get to a finish line to die. Like,
I see the line and I'm about to die.
I wanted them to know, and granted, of course, now they're like, well, we're never working for corporate America. And I'm always, no. We had a good run. You had a good life. You all had cars. You went to college. Like, it wasn't all bad.
Right.
Nothing's perfect. But I felt like it was hugely empowering, or a good example to my girls to say, me first.
Right.
Me first.
Right.
Yeah, I gave up money, but money's not everything. I gave up a pretty lucrative career, but I felt that wasn't enough anymore to keep me there. My health was more important.
Yeah. I agree. What advice would you leave for those men or women, because I really don't think it matters, quite honestly, men or women who are embracing transition but feel paralyzed? Like, I don't think I can do it.
Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Great book.
Living example. And you know what? And seek the advice of others. You know, there are professionals now, like you and Mark, are, you know, carving this path of, you know, what does the future of retirement look like? I honestly wish I had somebody like you guys, you know, there kind of to listen and ponder some of these things. I did know the direction I was going, but some people don't. So what I would say is get curious. Like, what are your passions? What do you do on the weekends? What fuels you when you're not doing the 9 to 9, or maybe in today's world, you know, you are able to do 9 to 5 and shut it off. God bless you. But what are the things that you do feel passionate about? And, you know, is there something that you haven't done since you were a kid, you know? Tap into some of that. You know, I think as kids, we're also hugely creative and we're allowed to be expressive. And then to your point, you get to corporate America and it's like, not allowed to be wrong. I don't know. Should you be creative? Like, no, tap into that, because it's the only way you're really going to figure out what interests you and what direction maybe you want to go. And, you know, it's okay to switch gears. Like, you know, nothing is carved in stone.
Right.
Nothing has to be forever. I think, you know, you're a mom. We've said the same thing to our children. Like, you know, so you went down a path that really wasn't for you. Okay, what did you learn? And then what do you want to do differently moving forward? So I think just be curious, just really do the work to really sit and listen to yourself, because I think a lot of people don't even hear their own voices anymore, because they're so bogged down with all the other minutia.
Right. And, you know, it's interesting when you meditate, and, you know, I wouldn't say we push it, but we mention meditation quite often, which is very difficult, not trying to make it sound like it's easy, especially for the corporate America mind, or the entrepreneurial mind, or the business mind, or the doctor mind, or the lawyer mind. I mean, I can go through all the careers where people have told us, you just don't understand. I just can't quiet my mind. And I remember a person that I took some serious meditation philosophies from said, you know, if you can't quiet your mind, you'll never hear your voice.
Right.
It doesn't matter how loud or how often you speak, you'll never hear your voice. And I remember thinking to myself, well, what? But, you know, over the years of meditation, and I'm sure you've found that quieting of your mind and hearing yourself makes a big difference for confidence, for your path forward, for your relationships, for your communication styles. And, you know, if we could take some of our coursework and move it to the 25 to 35-year-olds, I think, you know, by the time they're 50 or 60, they would be in a much better place than we started.
I agree. It's the 25 to 30-year-olds that are actually having the hardest time right now quieting their minds. And it's funny because, again, that's kind of the demographics of my kids, right?
Yes.
When I remind them, when I first started, I couldn't quiet my mind either. That's part of meditation. And there are days, Jody, that I still sit there on my mat and I'm like, I can't quiet it today, but I still sit there. And and I come back to it the next day, and 9 times out of 10, the next day is a little bit better. So
great.
I say you just got to keep at that part too.
Well, I will tell you this. I'm not going to say you're a different person than you were when I met you, because I think I always knew you as this person. And then we both zipped on our corporate shells and went out and did our 15 years of good, fun, hard work together.
Yes.
But I have such an admiration and appreciation for your transition, for your vision, for the planning that you and Andrew had done to get through it, and for all the health and wellness that you help others with. I mean, I really, truly have nothing but admiration for that. And I really appreciate you sharing it with our group.
Thank you, Jody. It means a lot to me coming from you. I always admired you as well. So thank you. Thank you for that. It means a lot.
Well, thanks everybody. And look forward to maybe another segment with Cindy where she could help us go a little deeper on yoga.
Oh, I would love that.
Awesome. Thanks, Cindy.
Thanks, Jody.